All right, welcome back to another episode of the Demonastary. I'm Jack here, your host. Last time we were looking at Viserai, and I built a deck with the new cards that have been released for her and her existing pool, which was really fun. And I'm very excited. I know that in the next few weeks we're probably going to get in the rest of those spoilers. But today we're going to tide ourselves over with a little look at Viserai and just kind of thinking about how we might adapt his deck to work with Nebula Blade, or really to replace Rosetta. Because there's kind of a couple of ways that we could do that. For instance, if we look at the weapons, why is it? Oh, I just want weapon. Yeah. So these really are the options here. And I feel like this one is too expensive. This isn't legal. This is a very different type of deck. This is an OTK deck. And when we're thinking about replacing Rosetta, right, we're trying to build a deck that's similar to that build of the deck. So I should back up because some of you probably who are new to Fab are like, what's he going on about with Rosetta? Currently, like the kind of standard Viserai aggro plan deck uses Rosetta Thorn, which is this weapon here. It's a very strong weapon. Probably a lot of people would say this is the best weapon in the game. It's probably true. Yeah, well, Briar, as we all know, or maybe not all of us, but as many of you know, is 2 living legend points away from expiring from the format for CC. So it's very likely that soon, or rather than later, we will not be able to use Rosetta with Viserai in that typical deck I was talking about. So the idea of this video is to look at how we would kind of replace that with Nebula Blade. And we have to build a very different deck, and I'll talk a little bit about that. The other option to replace Rosetta could be Reaping Blade, and you could actually, I think, keep the current Rosetta Thorn build and just swap Reaping Blade in. Reaping Blade costs 1, so the cost curve of that deck is going to be exactly the same. So it'll work. It's the typical line of Marvin Skies, 2-cost attack, and then Swing the Sword, which costs 1. So that works with pitching 1 blue. That's your kind of your 3-card hand, and then you put on top of that filler cards that are free that you can play in, like Revel in Runeblood, Swarming Gloomveil, and so on. This, you could totally swap this in. Personally, I feel like, though, that deck wouldn't be as good as Nebula Blade because Nebula Blade is applying a lot more pressure. It's forcing your opponent to interact with you. And there's some really great things you can do in Viserai when you start the turn with a rune chant. And Nebula Blade allows that. It says it's a once per turn action. It costs 2. And if it hits, you create a rune chant token. That's the key piece. So if you finish with the Nebula Blade and it hits, you're basically saying when you swing this for 4, right? You're saying, hey, if this hits, I start my turn with a rune chant. And when you start your turn with a rune chant in Viserai, that's extremely powerful, right? And if you play a non-attack action card this turn, Nebula Blade gains +3 until the end of the turn. So we really have to play non-attacks in order for this 2-cost weapon to be worth it. And that does hold us back a little bit. It's definitely not as flexible as Reaping Blade, where you can definitely do the play of play Grasp of the Arcanite, make a rune chant, and swing Sword off of a resource, and this would come in for 4 in that case. But I really like the concept of Nebula Blade. I think you can do some interesting things with it. It's Viserai's signature weapon, so I wanted to go through the exercise of how we might adapt, kind of, like I said, the standard Rosetta Thorn build into something that would synergize with Nebula Blade. So that's the point of today. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go through the deck tech with you guys, and then we're going to hop on Talishar and play a game or two and just kind of test it out, see how it goes. I have managed to play a few games with this build of the deck already, and it probably still needs some work. This is still in the early stages, and given the fact that it's unlikely for Briar or for Rosetta Thorn to be gone by the time that Dusk Till Dawn comes out, I think this deck will probably change quite a bit. If there are indeed cards in Dusk Till Dawn that are Runeblade only cards. But as we know, there's been 2 cards that are Illusionist, like straight Illusionist, not light Illusionist. for Prism, so I'm imagining that there will be straight Runeblade cards. And that may affect how this deck looks. So the deck I'm going to show you is very much a work in progress. But hey, if you guys like the look of it and you want to try it out and give me some feedback in the comments, that'd be awesome. Oh, and before we go too much further, I have to do the YouTuber thing. Like, subscribe. But actually, seriously, the first video got that I put out about Viserai actually got way more views than I thought it was going to. It still didn't get very many. But if everyone who had viewed it had liked it or had subscribed, then I would have like way more subscribers than I currently do. So I know every YouTuber always says that. Now I find myself saying that, but seriously, if you are enjoying this and you want more of this, please leave a like and go ahead and subscribe. So we're gonna head on here to the deck tech. So I'm gonna add a Nebula Blade to the deck here. And again, just a review of what Viserai does. Whenever you play a Runeblade card, if you have played another non-attack action card this turn, create a Runechant token. And that's a aura that when you attack with it, it gets destroyed and deals 1 arcane to the enemy. And then we just talked about what Nebula Blade does. So the key thing to note here right off the bat is that Nebula Blade costs 2. That means that our typical Viserai deck, where we go Modern Skies, 2-cost attack, we can't do that because we're not going to be able to swing the sword off of a blue here, right? Because we would be need 4 resources. So that means right away that we're going to have attacks that cost 1. So that's where I'm going to start with. And again, this is Runeblade, so we're running a 30-30 split, attacks, non-attacks. So we're going to attack, and we have to do the cost equals 1. Search, we only want Runeblade attacks because that's going to trigger Viserai's ability. So here is our options for 1 cost, these 6. I'm not using Acer Slash because it's kind of situational and it really only applies to the Dromai matchup. We're already so good into Dromai with Viserai because we can kill dragons and get Runechants off the Mobraine Skies that we really don't care about this. This card is absolutely awesome for this deck, and it for sure goes in. Consuming Volition, if you have dealt or deal arcane damage this turn, Consuming Volition gains. If this hits a hero, they discard a card. So this is very good. It puts our opponents in weird situations. Maybe they took arcane earlier in the turn, we play this, well, now they're in trouble because they're going to have to block. And again, this is attacking for 4, so it's a nice break point, which means that unless they have a D-react, they're going to have to, if they want to only give 1 card to this, they're going to have to use the card and some type of armor. That's great. That really synergizes well with the Nebula Blade, which is also a break point of 4. Again, we're putting a lot of pressure on the opponent to deny us getting the value off of our attacks, which keeps them blocking. And as an aggro deck, that's great. That gives us the tempo. So Consuming Volition goes in. Also, another really great card to start the turn with a Runechant having, because you can play some other attack that has go again, and then you play the Consuming Volition, and they probably took that first arcane damage. So that will turn on the ability. Meet and Greet, also really, really, really strong for this deck, because it says if it hits, create a Runechant token. So that's great. And if you have dealt or deal arcane damage to an opposing hero this turn, Meet and Greet gains go again. So same non-attack or same arcane damage condition as Consuming Volition, but it gains go again. This can allow us to have some really, really big turns. The interesting thing about the typical deck with Rosetta that is a where all the attacks are 2, is that you can do the thing where you use creepers and you make an instant window with Mobraine Skies after your first attack, so that you create an action point and then you give the next attack go again, and then you swing your sword, and that all costs 6. The interesting thing with this deck is that if you pitch 2 blues, because your attacks cost 1, you actually end up with extra resources. So that means is that if you made that play line with 2 other attacks and you had a Meet and Greet in hand, you would have the extra resources to actually play the Meet and Greet without needing either the action point from Creepers or the Mob Skies. I don't know if that made sense, but the point is that this card, it's great to target it with Mobraine Skies. Sometimes that's what you do, but then also there's times where it ends up being something that extends the turn even more. So it's really good. And again, it also attacks for 4. So again, it's that breakpoint I was talking about. Really, really good. We want that with the moss guys. So then there's Singing Steelblade, or Singeing Steelblade, I guess is what it's called. And this is okay. It does one arcane, but I am not putting it in the deck. I'm instead going with Spellblade Strike. Because this is really great because it just makes, it straight up makes a rune chant. With Viserai, it makes two. So this turns on all kinds of great things. This turns on Rune Flash. This turns on Amplify the Arcanite sometimes. So this is really strong. Sometimes if we have like a bum hand, or we're like going first and we have a bum hand, we can just play this and get the extra rune chance. So it's very good. We definitely want that. It's kind of like Spellblade Assault, but it only makes one rune chant instead of two. Again, that breakpoint for 4, so very good. And then the other ones here are, the other one is Vexing Malice. I am running the blue Vexing Malice. We'll talk about that in a minute. But these are my core. So in the standard Rosetta deck, you take Shrill of Skullform, Spellblade Assault, and Deathly Duet. So we're kind of, we're trying to replace those 3, and these I think are the strongest of the 1 costs. Okay. So then there's like that kind of 4th card that is also like in Zach Bunn's deck, for instance, which is kind of what I'm basing like the generic, like in my mind, that's like kind of the standard Viserai aggro plan currently. He has Amplify or Command and Conquer. We can't play Command and Conquer really very effectively in this deck because it just doesn't work with the resource curve, unfortunately. But Amplify, this card is very good. It's taken me a long time to realize just how good this card is, but this card is so good. At first, it seems like, oh, it's a 3 for 6, but since it costs 1 less to play for each rune chant you control, it ends up being sometimes a 2 for 6, which is on rate, a 1 for 6, which is below rate, and a 0 for 6, which is incredibly below rate. And if we are starting our turn with a rune chant, right, it's already going to be a 2 for 6. That doesn't really fit with our curve. And that is where this card comes in. Let's see. It is called Rune Blood Incantation. I know we're kind of jumping over to non-attacks, but I have to introduce this card to explain basically how these 2 cards, Runic or Rune Blood and Amplify, really synergize well in this deck. Basically, the way this card works is you play it. It's a cost 1, it's 3, go again. It enters the arena with 3 verse counters. Beginning of your action phase, you remove a verse counter and create a rune chant token. So you get to do that for 3 turns because there's 3 counters. If you hit with Nebula Blade and you have one of these out, now your Amplify costs 1. And now it fits with the resource curve of playing the Nebula Blade, right? Because you go Mob Skies, 1 cost for 6, and Swing Sword. So this is very good because we can make it behave like it is a 1 cost attack. And so it fits with that, with Mob into the Nebula. There's also situations where like we can just finish with this, and it's more efficient to finish with this instead of the Nebula Blade because it comes in for 6, right? So very good card in this deck. Yeah. So those are kind of our red attacks here that we're running. That are just like kind of these staple cards that we're, these are our Mauvrion Skies targets essentially, right? But then we also need our, shall we say, turn extender reds. And of course the best one is, oh, that's not how we spell. Yeah, Swarming Gloomveil. Probably, like I've said before, my favorite card. Probably my favorite Rune Blade card. I don't need to really explain this because it's just go again. And +1, and also unpreventable arcane effect for each rune chant you've made this turn, or each aura. It's really cool because this is also an aura, so sometimes that will turn on an extra effect from Gloomveil. It's just great. It's 0, it's go again. It's so good. And then we also have Rune Flash. This does not quite go into the deck as smoothly as it does in the standard deck because we don't have Spellblade Assault and we don't have Deathly Duet, so we can't make 3 Rune Chants like off of those attacks before. We can't go Mob Skies, Spellblade Assault, make 3 Rune Chants, play Rune Flash, go with Sword. But the reduction is really, really great if we are starting the turn with 1 to 2 Rune Chants, thanks to these effects. So we can do something slightly different where we can play some non-attack, we can play Rune Flash, and then we can swing the sword, or we can go in to some other kind of a pattern where we play, another attack with Mob Skies after we play the Rune Flash. So there are ways to make it fit in. It just isn't quite as seamless as it would be. But the fact that it does work means we're putting it in the deck. The other thing is, is anytime we have a yellow or a red Mob Skies, if that hits, we end up with 3 Rune Chants, right? 3 or more Rune Chants. And that enables us to play Rune Flash as well. So having that threat is really good. We want that. So those are all the red attacks here, plus the Incantation, which is a non-attack. So then we need our blue attacks. And this is where I'm not entirely, where I'm still workshopping, really. But I'm pretty sold on blue Vexing Malice, particularly because we don't have very many effects that do 2 arcane damage. In fact, we don't have any since we don't have Rosetta Thorn. So the fact that this does 2 arcane, that's a really powerful finisher. And since it's a blue, if we're going into a really long game and we're second cycle, this is a great finisher to have. It gets over that Arcane Barrier 1 that most people run against Viserai. So definitely Vexing Malice is one of our blues. The other thing that I have is Blue Amplify. The reason for this is that, again, if we've hit with Nebula, and we've played Runeblood Incantation, right? We are, again, starting the turn with 2 Rune Chants. Well, now this can come in as a 1 for 4, which is still a breakpoint for the Mob Skies, which is that's a very good blue, very playable blue. So we have that in there. The other one that I've got is the Spellblade Strike in blue. And the reason is that it still makes the Rune Chants, even though it's blue, which is very, very good. Being able to make those Rune Chants that turns on, amplifies, it turns on Rune Flash. It's very good. We're still getting the value of the Rune Chants, even though the attack power is only 2. So that's the other blue. And then this is where it's kind of, I don't know. But what I'm currently trying is Drawn to the Dark Dimension. So you guys are going to be like, this is weird. It is a little weird. It only attacks for 1, but it does cost 1 less to play for each Rune Chant you control. So if you have a really shitty hand, let's say you have a mostly blue hand, or you have just stuff that doesn't work. Well, if you start in the turn with 2 Rune Chants, you can play this for free. You don't even have to waste a Mob Skies on it because you shouldn't. It costs 1. But you can then Creepers in the Mob Skies. Now you've drawn a card, so you probably got something helpful. Maybe you got a red, maybe you got another non-attack. Hopefully you get something that fixes the turn. You use your Creepers, you play something else, you play the sword. Your resource curve is, well, yeah, you would need extra resources to make that work. But like I said, if you have all blue hand, you're going to be fine. Anyway, the point is that sometimes being able to draw a card in a situation where you have an unplayable hand, basically for free, right? Because if you have 2 Rune Chants, it's free. That is really, really, really strong. But again, instead of this, there are other things we could do, 100%. We could do, well, let's look at our options, right? Pitch Blue, Rune Blade, attack. Oh, right, it resets it, sorry. So blue, Rune Blade. I mean, oh, we're still on cost 1. I want to see everything. This is pretty strong. Oh, sorry. There we go. This is pretty good. Blue Consuming Volition is pretty good. We could run that instead. Blue Meet and Greet is pretty good. We could run that instead. Your games go again. It's just a 1 for 2. You know, I feel like this sometimes can get us a little more value because we get to draw a card. And if we're playing it for free, then yeah. So anyway, that's the attacks. So we got 30 right because we're not counting the Rune Blood here. So then the non-attacks. And obviously, we are going to run the full Modern Skies. And here again is where we have to adjust the deck to the new resource curve. Because typically, we run a blue Letha Charge in Viserai. So that, right, because this says, next time you play an action card costs 2 or greater, this turn you gain an action point. Which is very, very helpful when our whole deck is 2-cost attacks. But we're not running 2-cost attacks, right? Except for Amplify. We're running all 1-cost. So we have to take yellow Letha Charge. We could take red, but really there's no point. It's better to have something we can pitch with for more. So we end up taking yellow Letha Charge instead. And you'll see that this will affect the resource, like the cost of things in an interesting way. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But for now, yellow Letha Charge instead of blue, so that it can target our things that are being targeted with Moth Skies. We need that extra. We need 12 cards that can give these 1-costs go again. For the consistency of the deck, we want that. And then, so those are the go again enablers. Then we have kind of the filler cards. The cards that are extending the turns. Obviously, we're taking Revel and Moonblood because it's just, how about 5 Rune Chance? This card is so good. I don't need to talk about that. And, oh, we can't spell today. Mord Ridtide. Obviously, very good in Viserai. Also, the nice thing about it is that it blocks 3. So we're taking that. So now we only have 9 cards left, right? We want to take Viserai's signature. Oh no, become 9, like become, yeah. We want this. Again, this is very, very good. This lets us fix bad hands. It's also a blue. It blocks 3, so we need that in the deck. And that actually is going to end up being our blues. We only are running 18. And this is the quandary that we're in, because typically we would run 21 blues. Because, right, this would be a blue Letha Charge instead of a yellow. I think it's fine because the resource curve is different. Since it's all 1-costs, like I was explaining in that situation, like, you don't need 2 blues as much. You're perfectly fine in the situation where you play the attack, you creeper in Mob Skies, you play the other attack, you play the sword. We can do that with a blue and a yellow in hand, just as well as we can do that with 2 blues. So if this yellow, or this blue rather, becomes a yellow, I think it's fine. But I'm still kind of on the fence about that. What this means is that we are taking Sonata, Arconics, which is a very good card. But if, in my earlier version of the deck, I felt like I wanted to have the full 21 blues. So I was dropping Sonata, and I was taking another blue non-attack. I was taking this Rounds on Me. And you could put Sift in that slot. You could put something else. But I like this Rounds on Me because it blocks 3. It has a great effect. It draws a card, right? Which is essentially what Sonata does for you. It's 1 cost, so it fits nicely with the curve of Nebula Blade, right? And very good into Ninja, which is a tough matchup for us, right? So that's where I'm at with that. And again, this is where I need to do more testing and kind of understand this. Whether or not I really need the full 21 blues or whether it's better to just go with these extra yellows. So then the last 3 is cash in, because I am sticking to that Crown of Dominion plan in the more aggressive build of the deck. And that means that we have to talk about equipment. We're going Crown of Dominion here, which we start with the gold, and then we can, when we see the cash in, destroy the gold to draw 2. This just gives us a humongous power turn. Gives us like a 6 or 7 card hand. And with Viserai, that is just, we can really go off. So that's our headpiece. And then our chest, of course, Aether Ironweave. So good. Give me 2 resources and activate it only if you play an attack action and not attack. That's what we want to do. So this just gives us extra resources and it blocks 1 with Battle Worn. So it's amazing. And then, of course, I've talked about it a bunch of times. We're running Spellbound Creepers. And then our arm piece. And this is where I'm kind of taking a leaf, again, out of Zach Bunn's list. But also, I think it really fits for this particular deck. And it's Vexing Full Hand. So this would be for like the most aggro matchup. That's kind of what I'm defaulting. We're going to have Grasp in our sideboard, of course. But if we are starting the turn with a Rune Chant, pitching to Grasp to make a Rune Chant, like, we're never going to do that. If Nebula Blade is hitting and we want it to hit, to turn on Amplifies, to turn on Rune Flashes, right? To turn on Drawn to the Dark Dimension, yeah? To turn on these benefits we get, because Rune Chants are damage and resources in Viserai, right? If we're starting the turn with Rune Chants, we do not want to pay 3 or 4 to make another Rune Chant with Grasp. We're not going to do that. It's much better to be able to get 2 Rune Chants whenever we want. This means that if we have a Rune Flash in our hand that we can't play, well, now we turn that on, right? Now it goes. Or we have an Amplify in our hand that we can't play, we get this. Now we can play that. So it gives us that power, and it's really great into these fast matchups. Also, if we have Mortar Tide out and we see it, right, we get 3 Rune Chants. So it's very, very good. This deck, obviously, like, it doesn't block with the armor as well as some other versions of Viserai. But again, this is assuming that we're playing Lexi, we're playing Ninja, we're playing something that we're either racing or we're faster than. That we like something where we don't have to slow down our game plan in response to. So yeah, this is the deck here. I'll talk a little bit about the sideboard, which again is very much a work in progress. But I have this obviously for the slower matchups, or we can take this sometimes if we go first. Like I was playing just at the store on Thursday. I was playing against a Dorinthia, and I ended up having to go first. I took this. I took Grasp, and I sideboarded out the Sonatas and put in Synchros, of course, since it was Dory. But I kept Crown, but I took the Grasp and put that in instead of Quillhand. And I put in I believe I put in a Read the Runes as well. And the reason I did that was because it allowed me to just kind of be able to have some more blocks since I was going first and was going to need to block more in order to catch up with them. But if you're going second, like you want to be, then you're running Quillhand. So this is for the slower matchups or for the matchups where you get value out of blocking more if you're going first. And then, of course, we also want to have Crown of Dominion, or, Providence. Again, these are for the slower matchups where we're trying to get the value out of our armor. And this is a really great card, again, for Runeblade, like I said in the last video, because it lets us fix our hand. So those are 2 pieces of the sideboard. I'm also putting in 3 of these. If we are doing the slower route and we're not playing Crown, but we're playing this Crown, if we're not playing the cash-ins, we take the cash-ins out and we put in the Reader Runes. This would be into Guardian, this would be into things that are slower, where we know we're going to have to block a lot, where we know we're going to have to play 1 or 2 card hands. This is a great 1 card hand. We just make 3 rune chants, and we pass, and we go about our day, right? So definitely, if we're not running the Crown of Dominion, we take the cash-ins out, we put the Reader Runes in. So that leaves us with 10 more slots in our sideboard. Again, for slower matches, we want Tunic. Anything where, or oops, I put it in the wrong spot. Anytime we think the game is going to go longer than 6 rounds, we're taking Tunic, because then we're going to get more value off of it than we are off of the Aether Weave, right? Since the Aether Weave makes 2 resources. This, over 9 rounds, will make us 3 resources. So any slow match, or sometimes into Ice Heroes that disrupt, having Tunic is really good. Definitely into Oldhim. Of course, by the time we're actually playing Nebula Blade, we're not going to be playing against Oldhim. But for the slower matchups, Tunic is definitely what we want. Other thing, as I mentioned when I was talking about siding for Dory, is D-Reacts. Definitely want to put in... Oh, ouch. Sideboard. 3 Sync Belows. These are just really great for anything that we need a defense reaction for. So Azuri, Bravo, Dory. And we just always swap these out for the Sonatas, because if we have D-Reacts in our deck, then Sonata is less likely to hit. So put those in, and that leaves us with 6 more cards. We need some poppers. We've only got 3 cards so far that are for 6. We need poppers. We know Prism is going to be back. We know Dromai is probably still going to be one of the best decks. So we definitely want some poppers. I feel like we want somewhere around probably 6 to 7. And this you could kind of like, if you're trying to build this deck and mess around with it, like you probably could kind of pick whatever you like. Since I would most likely, at least for Dromai, I don't know exactly how we're going to like side into Prism yet, because I don't know what new Prism is exactly going to do. But if we're going into Dromai, we really don't need the cash in because we're already so favored. So I like a yellow popper. So if we go, actually, we gotta go. Cost doesn't matter. Power equals 6. Search. Oh, actually, sorry. We want to say 6 or greater. And then we go pitch yellow. These are our options. I really like these because you get a benefit from playing them, from popping them, right? Like if you're taking these, you're never going to play these, right? You're going to be popping with them, or you're going to be pitching with them. And then it's yellow; it keeps the resource curve, and if we heal, I mean, if we have less life, we get the potential to heal. So I really like these. I think they're good. But you could also do Ninth Blade. You could do the Cryptic Crossing is kind of bad, but yeah, you could do Ninth Blades instead. This card is really strong into Oldhim, like decks where you have to go really, really, really slow. But again, by the time we're playing this deck, we know that Oldhim will be out. Yeah. So that leaves us with 3 more cards. I want a little more Arcane Barrier, so I am running some Null Rune here. And I think probably this would be just for Kano. And again, you could replace this with something else. If you're not worried about Wizard, you could take this out. I like to have at least AB2 for Kano. So yeah, I would run the Robe. Because you really want Creepers, and you really want your hat against Kano. And then obviously you'd be taking this. So yeah, you end up with the Robe. You could do Boots instead. or no null rune. It's kind of up to you. So that leaves us with 2 more cards, and they are going to be these, which some people were probably surprised that I didn't put these into the main deck. Well, the reason I didn't, of course, is that they cost 2. So you can't do the very good 3-card hand, or like 2-card hand, I guess, with Rune Blade that you can do off of this. When you're running a Rosetta or a 1-cost weapon where you pitch a blue, you do this, you get a Gloom Veil out of your graveyard, you banish it, you play it, you train the sword. You can't do that when your weapon costs 2. You need 4 resources. So, like, otherwise it's just really situational that you could actually play this and get the value off of it. The reason I have it in my sideboard, though, is because if you're worried about fatigue, or you're worried about a deck that plays slower, and when you're running Tunic, and when you might have an extra resource at your disposal, then this is kind of nice because it lets you, bring certain threats back and play them. So if you're like worried about fatigue, this is probably something I would slot in. But again, like these last 3 spots of the note, like this is very like I'm very testing it. It's very like this is what I think you want. Like the meta is going to look totally different. It's going to look like there'll probably be new Runeblade cards that we'll want to add. So again, like these 3, the whole deck is very much in process, but these 3 in particular, I think are definitely like So yeah, but that's it. That's our deck here. So yeah, we're gonna play some games with it. Let's do it. I'm gonna copy this, hop over to Talishar. No games. Okay, well, we'll make one. Link. Classic constructed. Public. And game. If nobody shows up, I'll just I'll just do some gold fishing. I think we'll get somebody. I don't have any matchups built here. So we're going to have to manually do it, which will take us a minute. Hopefully our opponent is... Azeala, great. This is good. This is a good example. So we get to go second, which we want to do into Azeala. She can't do anything too terribly to us, typically. So we're probably fine, and this suite is good for Azeala. So we'll just go ahead and start. All right. Let's go. Gonna see my weapon, be like, what the fuck is this? He's gonna be like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Oh shit, we got cash in right off the bat, but no, we fucking bricked. Oh, well, not really, actually. This might be alright. Maybe hopefully he just arsenals, because actually, oh no, he's gonna shoot. So what we could do here is we could go Runeblood, Incantation, pitch the blue, swing Nebula, and that's actually not a horrible hand. It gets this out, we arsenal the cash in. But I think we're gonna have to block. I don't really want to give him the cash in or the Runeblood Incantation, but if I had to pick one, I would probably pick to give him this. I think he might just pass. Yes! Alright, sweet. Fortunately, we can't do anything else with this Mothering Skies. We could play it just to make a rune chant. I think that's probably what we're going to do. I don't want to rip this right now, since I have all these non-attacks here. I mean, I do have the opening, so I could just fucking rip it because he can't disrupt me. Like, I've got the green light, but it's so much better to do. I think we'll be patient. So we'll play this. Pitch. Make a rune chant. This guy's like, what are you doing? And swing this. Gonna take the okay. Yes. Okay, and he's gonna let that hit. So we're gonna start the turn with 2 rune chants, which is prime. Hopefully he doesn't just completely... Oh, this is... Yes! Oh my god, yes. Look at this. This is beautiful. We don't have a go again, but it's kind of okay. Like, we don't have a mob yet, but, like, that's... We can just creepers in. This is gonna cost only 1, plus, like... Oh my gosh, this is great. Please don't do anything. Okay, premeditate. Just don't disrupt me. Like, just don't do that. I don't... It's not red in the leather. Rot, no. So you can destroy. Jesus fucking Christ, this is a tall attack. If you fucking... Okay, you know what? I do not care. That is 14 with a bunch of stuff. I do not care. That does not disrupt me. He's gonna get to draw... Yeah, I don't care. We're gonna take this. The only thing we might end up needing this, so we'll block with that. He's like, what the fuck? The guy took 14. Okay, come on. Let's see what we can rip here. Yeah, you get... Well, you don't have 2 arsenals, so, you know, it's kind of... Like, that's overkill, the Ponder and the Heatseeker. Probably want to do the... Okay, well, a knock, that's not great, but... Yes, I want to play gold. Oh, shit. Sonata Central here, you guys. Holy moly. Okay, well, this is pretty weird hand. I think we can, yeah, shit, we don't have, we need to hit some shit with go again. We need to hit like a, yeah, off the Sonatas, we need to rip like a Gloomveil or a, well, we've got lots of tries. Let's see, what do we actually need to pitch? We need to pitch... Well, the Amplify is going to be free. Both of these Amplifies can be free. So I think we play this. This is probably our pitch card. So I think we play this. 0. Okay. That's intriguing. That's good. That's going to force him to block something here. But again, we don't have... We can't Arsenal. This is kind of bad without the Moss guys. Oof. I think we pay in a bunch here and try to hit that, because this is going to be... No, actually... We'll play the Amplify, and then, well, no, we'll Sonata first, because we can rip this as the instant. And I think we want to play this anyway instead of the Amplify. It's better. So we're going to do this, and I think we pay in, let's see. Shit, what if we just, we could pay in 4, and that's a lot, but then we would, because we need 1 for the creepers, 1 for consuming, that's 2, and then another 2 for this. We can use the Aether Weave. I think we got to dig. We got to get the value out of this. Pitch. That fucking whiff. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh man. This is the Runeblade life, you guys. This is the Runeblade life. That's fine. We'll do this. Shit, man. That's probably a loss. Well, you know, that can happen with any deck. Just gonna let these hit. He's letting them hit, so that's fine. Oh, yeah, whatever. Let's see how you block before I instant any creepers here. He's not going to block yet. Why would he? Well, he's going to have to block. He's going to have to give me 2 cards or his Tunic, because I've got the Consuming it. He's let all this Arcane hit. It's not a terrible turn, really. So, like, now... That's still like 10, and he's got a... yeah, I mean, this is... I mean, think how good this turn would have been if we would have fucking hit that Sonata. Sheesh. He's still got to block 4 or lose a card, so I'm getting 2 cards from him, unless he's got a D-React, which he might. I mean, they run Fate in Azeala all the time, so. I mean, imagine if we had fucking had a Mob Skies there, or we'd drawn a Rune Flash, or a fucking reveal. Pitch 4, I reveal 6 cards, and I hit. Yeah, so you've got a... Oh, he's going to lose a card? Sure, okay. Go for it, bud. He's might as well. He's got to do that. Maybe he just hasn't seen this card before, because it's... What's the deal, dude? Sweet. Okay. Well, you know what? Oh, another fucking cash-in? Are you fucking serious? What are the odds? This is a fine hand, though, because I can do Mauve into Spellblade into... Like, that's reasonable. Oh, knee strike, huh? I've got to read knock. What does knock even do here? Undid. Oh, card on the bottom, and he's going to go again. I mean, he's going to read the ledger me, right? Oh, draw a card. I mean, presumably I'm going to get red in the ledger, right? Like... So... I have no way of stopping it, because I don't have any armor. At the very least, I could swing the sword at Arsenal. I probably should block. I'll block some of it. I'll block with that because I'm not playing it anyway. He's gonna have to use his scalers here, which is personally I'm great with that. Ahead, you know what, like 13 life, yeah. Yeah, let's see. Is it red in the ledger or is it red in the ledger? Oh, what do you know? It's red in the ledger. Oh, and he pumps it too. Okay, yeah. I mean, so I probably should have blocked for more if I'm honest. Here. Yeah, I think we'll just... Yeah. We're going to get the black value out of the block. Then we're just going to swing the blade. It kind of sucks, but... we're still ahead by 6. I'm still going to keep the creepers alive. He has to block 1 damage to prevent... Like, if he wants... Yeah, so see, there we go. We keep the creepers up. He's going to have to disrupt me again. Oh, no, he blocks it. Okay, so he's killing the creepers, but I'm still going to get a rune chant unless he blocks. Yeah, okay, great. So I still start my turn with a rune chant. Arsenal this, creepers are gone. Okay, and this hand is fucking fire. So you got to disrupt me again, otherwise I'm coming in strong. I'm still up by 7. Looking good. This is looking good. What you gonna do? What you gonna do over there playing with yourself? Yeah, this is great, because we can go Mob, Spellblade, Meet and Greet, and then Nebula. Like, that is... Oh, shit, you got a load with that? Well, there goes your rune chance. Bolton shot, huh? Frailty. Well, he's got no resources, so it's a free arrow. I don't think any of the free arrows are particularly scary right now. They would probably... I don't think any of them disrupt. He could have Codex. Again, he doesn't have the money. I think I'm fine with this. I mean, this hand is going to kill him pretty much. He has no way of preventing the meet and greet from going. I still have Quill Hand. Yeah, we're gonna hope he doesn't do anything too scary. Sheesh, this is kind of stressful. I was wondering if I can do anything cute with Drawn or a combo. I think the Venus lines. Yeah, I mean the frailty, like, it doesn't matter. It's not a problem. Okay, you just. Okay. You trying to like Azeala something here? Still, you've got to. It's got to be a free arrow, so. Yeah, see, that's what I thought. Okay, so we could. No, doesn't make any sense. Just shit. What if we. Can we become the Arc Knight? I'll just fucking go get a Revel? Would that just kill him? Like, can we get enough Arcane? It's 2. That's 4. 6. It'll be 6. It'll be another 5. That honestly might be better than a meet and greet right now. And it's all free. It works with the resource curve. Like, deliberately push him down. I mean, meet and greet is only 4. Well, meet and greet is potentially 6. You got to block twice. Otherwise, we have leftover resources, right? We end up with an extra resource. Huh. I'm kind of tempted to do that. I feel like if he doesn't have enough blues, it might just kill him. Double. Hopefully this is the right line. He's got to give me 2 cards to prevent all the rune chants, and then yeah, he can't block these. Oh shit, no, he's got AB. Fuck. Right. That was a mistake. Oh well. He's got all blues. This is a very, like, still a threatening line. You gotta de-react, or are you just gonna... Oh, dude, you're dumb. You're dead now. Yeah, dude. How are you gonna block all that? If he's got any reds in his hand, he's sunk. He should not have let that hit, so he kind of fucked up too. Oh. I forgot that this has Arcane Barrier. That's pretty bad. Oh no, he's only, yeah, so he's donezo. He's got only 1 blue. And that's the thing about Azeala, is like, she doesn't run, but yeah, he's dead. That's it. I don't think you can stop it. Give me his hat. Can he even survive? Probably not. Yeah, so that was the right way. Yep, he's going to take all those damages, and then he's going to have to block with his hat. Actually, yep, he's going to have to block with both of his equipments. I still get a rune chant. And if he hadn't frailty, yeah, so we should got this, unless we like really hardcore brick. But it actually doesn't matter, because now he has no more AB. So we actually just won. Ah, we're going to kill him with this. Troll move. Let's make it free. Mauve. Let's see what we draw. Maybe something spicy. Yeah. So, good game. Well, that was exciting. Look at that. We did 21 damage off of that, like, shitty cash-in turn, but it was enough. So there you go. That's how it works. That was pretty good. That was awesome. That that was fun. Whew. All right. I think that's probably good for now on the gameplay. If you guys want to see more, like, if you guys like are interested in seeing more of this deck, or like interested in me doing a stream of this deck, like, and just doing a whole like play video, I would be really interested in doing that. I think that'd be a ton of fun. But yeah, so this is the deck. Yeah, stay peeled, you guys, to the channel because, like I said at the start, the next few weeks we are going to be getting a ton of inset stuff, and I'm so excited to break it down. If it's generic Runeblade stuff, we're going to talk about how it fits in with Viz, how it fits in with Chain. Like, oh, such a great time to be a Runeblade. So pretty exciting. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said, leave a like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the Demonastary. All right, signing off for now.